Hello, everybody, and welcome to With Thunderous Applause, a podcast where two friends get together to discuss the events and ideas that'll shape our uncertain future. I'm your host, Steve, along with my co-host, Zach. What's up?
Did you know that it's really hard to get certain AIs to draw more than one person? Like, say, for example, you're trying to get a new thumbnail of a stormtrooper shooting a poop emoji. It doesn't seem to understand that, the poop emoji is a person. Like, I even tried to describe it. Like, two people, one a stormtrooper and the other a poop emoji. And it kept doing like little piles of poop here and there, and I was like, "That's not even the poop emoji." Damn it. Makes me wonder if it's copyrighted, but
It'll be your our Patreon exclusive. Will actually go through the AI,
as we
the
try to
dialogue
get it
with
to
the
say
AI.
what we want, as we try to get it to do what we say.
I mean, honestly, no one else is doing that right now, right?
That's true. It's kind of
Is anybody doing that?
it's kind of come and gone. I don't know. I think that people are still interested in it, but like the newness of it is past. You know, I still like it. It's really good for thumbnails when you're not artistic at all.
No, absolutely, 100%. I think it's a really big deal for a lot of people. It really sucks because it benefits the people that don't have like the capital to and the barrier of entry to be able to just like
Yeah.
pay artists to do shit.
But I also kind of want to pay artists to do shit.
But then also, yeah, on the other side, we actually need to be employing people in the creative arts
Yeah,
or providing them dignified livelihoods with an arts profession.
Exactly.
But yeah, so you produced the show Holy.
Yeah, my bad.
No, don't say my bad, man. That's not bad, man. That's good. Did you catch that SNL sketch with Selena Gomez? Where they were doing it? It
No, I
was
don't
kind
watch
of like
SNL.
it was kind of like Wayne's World in the sense that it was like the aesthetic was that they were like a public broadcast, like low budget, like variety show or whatever.
Okay.
And had two, Chicanas or whatever and Pico or something. And yeah, they just kind of had their guests or whatever. It was just funny. It was an SNL sketch, right? So
Yeah. Hey, we'll put it on the channel, see what happens.
no, we won't.
Roll the fucking
Yeah, but no,
dice.
they just had this. It was the endearing part was sometimes SNL hits like little endearing parts where it's just kind of so stupid, like the what's up with that? Like the preacher singing what's up with that or whatever. It's kind of like that shit where it's just like it's absurd and also kind of wholesome for SNL. So like it memes, I guess. But anyway, they're like, oh, that's bad. Oh, that's good. That's sad. That's bad. Just kind of mocking like his Hispanic Valley Girl, I guess. I don't know.
Okay. Sounds fun.
But
yeah, we're going to talk about fucking Palestine because no one else is. Everyone's talking about Israel and Hamas, and no one talks about the country and the people who are the Palestinians or Palestinians in Palestine.
I think there's quite a few. But you're right. Governments certainly aren't.
Governments, like if you look
Western
at
governments, fuck no.
If you look at like cable media, it's all from the point of view of like Israel is completely right, has done no wrong whatsoever in the last 75-ish years. And so it's like, well, why is there no dissenting view outside of like YouTube and probably Telegram and that one news source that I can't recall, or One America Network?
There's a lot of people. I think, examining this from a much more unbiased perspective. But I think that I'm most bothered. I mean, I'm most bothered by it because I've always kind of felt a solidarity with the Palestinians. Like, I'm not saying like I've been an activist or anything, but like I became politically aware of the situation and like sought information to understand the issue when I was a young man, like in high school. The second Intifada was like, I was like listening to fucking Rage Against the Machine. Like, wow, this second Intifada happened. So like, of course that's become part of my political identity, right? Like for real though.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Whatever. I was 16 or 17. I forget. Sometime in around that late high school.
Who'd you think the machine? Who'd you think the machine was?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, you have a bunch of right wingers that are like, "Oh, I love Rage Against the Machine." You are the machine.
You are the machine. Yeah, and I think that. Yeah, I think that I am emotionally invested in the issue because of that partly. And just like you just kind of how that has informed how I feel about other like struggles against depression, right? Like or liberation struggles,
Right.
Black and indigenous and international. Yeah, it's just fucking it's kind of really fucking intense. And so uh I'm glad that you did the actual physical labor for it, and I'll do a little emotional labor um, right now. But
Yeah.
yeah,
We could start.
sure, let's get
It's
into it.
probably not going to make you any happier, but
Probably not, but it maybe it'll fuel me while I think of something clever to say.
But it's really rightfully ours if you look at the history and at like the wars, and we didn't even start a lot of the wars. We conquered these places rightfully, like it's ours.
I don't think there's any answer to it. Really? There's only one way. Like, I would carpet bomb them.
You would carpet bomb them?
It's the only way you could deal with it.
We take house after house. All this area will be a Jewish neighborhood. We are not finished the job. We are going to the next neighborhood, and after that we'll go more. Our dream that all East Jerusalem will be like West Jerusalem, Jewish capital of Israel.
You are stealing my house.
And if I don't steal it, someone else is gonna steal it.
No one is allowed to steal it, ya ammi.
No, I'm from New York, from Long Island.
From New York. What right do you have to live here?
The right I have is that the owner of the house wants me to live here, and he wants there to be Jews living in his house, and he wants to. And I got chosen for whatever reason. It ended up being me.
So why do you live here?
Because I live here, because it's important, and because not too many people want to live here, and it's important to strengthen this neighborhood, to make sure that this neighborhood is not lost in any future peace deal.
So your position here is a political position to keep Palestinians out of it?
Not to keep Palestinians out of it, to keep Jews in it.
Yep. That one about wrapped it up for me. I was just like, oh yeah, okay, that's clear. Yeah.
Oh, Abby Martin did a whole documentary, and she's covered this issue a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a whole huge segment of settlers, right? That's I mean their attitude. I mean they talk about it in the government. I think we mentioned earlier this week about the Minister of Defense. You know, you're calling them animal, like basically referring to them as animals, like
yeah.
And it's pervasive. And I'm not saying obviously we have our allies in Israel too. They're just
Right.
like small minorities and are in a particular context where it's dangerous to be, something other than a kind of, armchair observer.
Yeah.
And there are activists on the ground for sure too, but like it's just a rough context to do that kind of work, right? As you see, these are the people you go to. So I imagine being like a fucking left-wing Israeli that's like pro-Palestinian rights, but like you live in Israel and have citizenship or whatever. I mean, it's about as bad as that as it would be for like someone who's like a Hillary Clinton stan, like living in anywhere that was like 75-80% Trump and just seeing like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, well, and
not
like
being able to feel comfortable expressing your political opinions because the fucking the political ecology is so fucking violent.
Basically, because all the bigots are all too familiar with, saying what they want to say. So you're like, oh, I'm probably not welcome here. Yeah, it's pretty terrible. And of course, the government is under massive changes right now. I haven't read about all of them, but basically they're like reorganizing how the government's going to work because they are officially in a position of war, and so they have turned over a bunch of powers to a new branch of the government, I believe, and should be interesting to see what happens there and how many rights are quashed within Israel as well. How much
they're quashing rights far from Israel. Wasn't there a piece of news out of the UK where they were considering, I don't know if they passed legislation, but I was under the impression they were at least considering legislation to like make it illegal to demonstrate on behalf of Palestine.
Get out of it. And they were also doing the same in France. Yeah. Macron came out.
When do you think we hit the point, bro? Like, doesn't it feel fucking close? It feels real close.
Oh, like when fascism just takes over pretty much worldwide.
No, well, when the powder keg we're sitting on actually fucking explodes.
I mean, this is a good step towards it. I'll say that, because like it's going to be very polarizing, despite the narrative that is being pushed by cable news. I have a feeling that there are enough people that are just like, no, it's pretty fucked up, man. Like, or anyone with relatives, that are a little bit more informed. They're like, no, they might have had this coming, as we'll discuss later.
Yeah. How long is this next clip?
This next clip is 48 seconds.
Damn. All right, roll it and then
trying to get a beer
after it. What's that?
So trying to get a beer.
No, I brought a second beer in reserve just like for transparency's sake. I mean, this is like what I do on the production end. Make sure I have lots of beer.
I can tell because the notes are.
And no, I have to, but I if we get around to it, this is so much more important, and I think this issue here and is probably the most important thing that has happened in a very long time.
I mean, it really
is the
is
first time it ever happened. Honestly, it's the first time they actually like applied that amount of force going the other way. Like, usually it's like a couple fucking rockets here and there, some campaigns of like multiple rockets, but this is the first time they fucking had military units on the ground. They had fucking divers sneaking up on boats and shit. Like,
yeah,
it's crazy.
I think it really is going to be a question of like, will the world maintain its soul and step in, or are we just going to let a genocide happen on television and just be like, oh?
It sounds like this is just kind of a catalyst with it. This is like an Arch Ferdinand kind of shit, right?
Yeah.
Like it feels like it's been already adding up to be something like that, where it's just more or less an event that changed a lot of attitudes and increased a lot of like anxieties and or aggressive energies, right?
Gotcha.
And then like first, I think you have a clip later about Fox News. They'll probably mention Iran. It's like, oh, we got to fucking nuke Iran. It's like, what the fuck?
They did not, as far as I know. But
or it's like Congress doesn't want to send so these shrewd motherfuckers they are. They're so fucking shrewd, and it's just it screws America. It's not important to the average American, right? But they're so fucking shrewd. It's like, the Freedom Caucus or whatever is like, we're not going to pass any Ukraine aid and we're making all this fucking noise. So like this shit happened. They're like, but we love fucking Israel. So let's send Israel some money. And then they're like, well, we're going to attach the Ukraine money to the Israel money, in which case you'd be like,
voting against
your opposition to the Ukraine war is not stronger for your fucking bootlicking hard on for fucking a genocidal fucking, ethno state. Jesus fucking Christ, people. Sure. All right, carry on. I'll BRB.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we've now had another escalation, which is that Human Rights Watch have just confirmed that their reporting says that white phosphorus was used by Israeli forces in both Gaza and on the Lebanese border in the last few days. Now, white phosphorus is a substance that burns human skin horrifically. If you disperse it into the air, hundreds of pellets from each of these dispersals comes down, and if it hits human skin, it will burn you down to the bone. It can burn your lungs out. Just 10% of burns from this can kill a human being, and if it doesn't, the lifelong injuries are horrifying, as well as the fact that it can burn down entire communities. So if this is the case, that's a major escalation in the fighting, and also a terrifying prospect for people on both sides of the border in terms of how angry that kind of weaponry being used could make people.
Layla, you've also reported on how...
Wrong one. There we go. Yeah, and they don't cover what sort of material it is. I don't know if it's gas or if it's powder. It kind of sounds like powder, doesn't it? Let's see. Wikipedia. No, I speak English, Wikipedia. Oh, it's in. It was in Spanish for some reason. I looked it up. I was looking at white phosphorus. Let's see.
You're talking about that now?
Yeah. I wanted to know if it was a gas or if it was a.
I thought it was
powder.
more like napalm in a grenade.
Translucent,
but I don't
waxy solid.
A waxy solid?
Yeah, a waxy solid that quickly becomes yellow when exposed to light. It is also called yellow phosphorus. Glows greenish in the dark. And is highly flammable and pyrophoric, self-igniting upon contact with air. Toxic, causes severe liver damage and phossy jaw from. Oh yeah, you don't want that from chronic ingestion or inhalation. It has a garlic smell and let's see, not even soluble in water, so you can't really get it off with water. Let's see. It is only safe from self-ignition when submerged in water. So you could absolutely like jump into a pool and you're okay as long as you don't come up. But then it says unreacted white phosphorus can prove hazardous to beach combers who may collect washed up samples while unaware of their true nature. It is only soluble in benzene, oils, carbon disulfide, and disulfur chloride. So probably oils in that case. So I guess carry around a whole bunch of jars of canola oil. Do you think you're
going to put it in?
No. If you think you're going to get white phosphorus dumped on you.
Oh,
that's terrible. Well, I was just thinking about how the protesters in the U.S. had water bottles. You have to wash out the tear gas with limited effectiveness. I heard milk does a good job, but yeah.
Oh yeah, I've heard that works with tear gas.
Yeah.
So you can like flush your eyes with milk, but I mean it makes sense, right? Like,
yeah.
Why?
It's also good for capsaicin.
Additional proteins.
Yeah. Exactly.
Coat your eye in additional proteins, so that the proteins that it's attacking fucking don't pass pain onto you or whatever.
So yeah, harsh shit. Used. It has to be used indiscriminately. It cannot be targeted. For all of Israel's talk about their advanced bombing systems and whatnot, they're using an indiscriminate killer. So I call bullshit on any moral superiority. It's chemical warfare, plain and simple, and it burns buildings too.
Yep.
So it's just all around.
No, bro. Yeah, I mean the title is like fucking pretty real. Like I think we mentioned it on Monday. Actually, in fact, before a lot of people before I saw other people I watch have said the same thing. Like prophetic. As far as what's up?
Is it prophetic?
No, I mean I just think that we don't spend the extra time to editorialize it without fucking rambling and like have it be all clean and crisp and well delivered. Like that's how we got it out first, right?
True. Off the cuff.
It's not that garbage, right? They freeze dried garbage. It's the gourmet shit.
Fresh out of my mouth.
Yeah, I do think that it was to that point of kind of being ahead, I think, in a few ways. Yeah, like just it clearly being like the objective being ethnic cleansing and it being meant to distract from internal political problems.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so to the point of using white phosphorus, it being a war crime, right? Or being banned under a convention or treaty, yeah?
Not sure about it, but probably.
Well, look it up. That's what we do. We're shooting the Poodoo.
Will you keep talking?
I am. I'm just taking a sip of beer. I'm pretty sure they're probably not signatories, and that's the fucked up thing about international law, and that's why even as like someone who identifies as an anarchist, like I'm like, okay, I understand that like the anarchic international system. It's like you can't really have fucking rules. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's not banned, but their use in civilian areas is a war crime.
In civilian areas,
yeah. which is my understanding, all of Gaza.
All of Gaza.
Yeah. So
because they don't have a formal military.
Yeah. So war crime.
Because they don't have a formal administrative bureaucracy. Because they don't have a formal state.
Because they're not allowed to build anything.
Because they're not allowed
to live in rubble.
Yeah, and so you mentioned that we just kind of questioned the criminality of using a weapon like that, and like you don't even need that. We showed videos on Monday of a supermarket getting bombed, and that was British propaganda TV, Channel 4. Yeah. Like, and they were even like, oh, and here's we're outside a grocery store destroyed by Israel. Like, why? So they closed all of the borders.
Mm-hmm.
They've bombed all of the hospitals, which is also a war crime, I'm pretty sure.
And apartment buildings.
They bombed. I highly doubt all of the markets or whatever, but they bombed out like food distribution infrastructure.
Yeah.
And they've made it impossible to leave, and then they're just leveling like apartment buildings, like multi-story apartment buildings, right?
Yep.
You know, and they're destroying those, and thousands have died. I'm not even bothering with fucking body counts. I don't think it really matters. Like, it's fucking awful. I think in the end, it kind of helps us understand like the actual costs of like visually like large amounts of destruction.
Yeah.
That's something that's often missed is like, I mean, war is brutal and fucked up, and why should we be destroying infrastructure when we don't really have the resources to rebuild infrastructure? Right? Yeah. We can't afford to burn the fossil fuels. Stop blowing shit up. We need to use that.
No, that really is a sincere concern. Like, that has always been my opinion on war. Is you're basically like, okay, I want your shit, and I'm willing to expend a whole bunch of energy making it so you wasted all your energy building all this shit. And it's like, wouldn't it just be easier to get along and trade? Like, why all the bombs? I guess. Like, seems so unnecessary. Diplomacy, guys. Diplomacy.
Oh, yeah. You could argue that the carbon footprint of that real estate is fucking astronomical.
Oh, yeah.
Because the whole world is going to, not the whole world, but like Western governments are like, here are weapons, which is like, they're not fighting it's not like they're fighting like a fucking, I don't know. I think all fighting is bullshit and it's mostly benefited the West. But like, you know what I mean? If like Russia, Ukraine, you're like, okay, there's, I guess, a legitimate political dispute. Like, these are people that are fucking trapped in a box, and they're massacring them.
Yeah.
And we're provisioning them weapons.
Oh, yeah. And just giving them billions without any sort of, request for like, hey, how are you spending those billions? Just throw money at them every single year. Such a waste.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know. But yeah, there's nothing you can do. There's no, in the international system, generally economic power equals military power, economic power, and some cultural power, right? Like, obviously, economically, the West is fucking done. That's that transition. This is the war that follows that fundamental change as the system. I hope we don't get fucking banned for this, but it's death
for what?
Any what I'm about to say.
Oh, okay.
This is what death throes probably. I mean, it's social death throes feels like, right? Like, anybody that's ever slaughtered an animal or like seen a bird fucking run into a window and then twitch or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like, anybody that knows what dying is like, that's what this is.
My poor cat and bunnies.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Oh, just cats and bunnies, like that's my experience with, random animals dying, just them as their body craps out on them. And who knows what's going on in their mind. Like, gotta be pretty shitty. Now imagine that you're a human being. Now, don't imagine that you're a human being, because Israel thinks you're animals. All right, we're back to where we were.
Bringing it full circle. Yeah. No, but seriously, like, it's so fucking absurd that this is even debatable. And there is a massive propaganda infrastructure in support of it. And I just think back to Dave Chappelle's fucking SNL monologue. Second time I brought up SNL. Why? I haven't even been watching SNL.
I don't know.
But Dave Chappelle's monologue that we showed very, very small part of a while back and had to successfully fight a fucking copyright strike.
Woo!
And we fought that shit. No mark on our record, bitch.
Nope.
One in the positive column, if anything. They're like, we're gonna like really scrutinize claims against these guys.
Yeah.
And we just won't get them. Right.
Be careful.
Be careful. Yeah. No, but seriously, like it feels like death rows, like bricks, and this is what a collapsing empire feels like, and this is what they do too. Like it's just flailing. It's just like, I don't want to die, so I'm gonna like double down one more time. Let's start one more war. Let's do one. We just need one more war. We gotta fucking keep it going because the empire doesn't want to die. It's fighting to live. This is
trying to convince your people that, you know, there's an exterior threat that's coming after you. I mean, of course, with very little evidence. I saw headlines, but didn't get a chance to look into ones that said like Egypt warned Israel. And then at the same time, you know, Iran was immediately saying like, we had nothing to do with this. No evidence, you know, that we were involved in any way. Like, don't try to blame us, because of course, anytime anything happens in Palestine, it's like Iran is involved, of course. Why not? Yeah, so not great.
Also, like, it sucks up news headlines, so I'm like wondering what kind of shit's going on in the background. I know there's military movements. I do think that this is literally like a Franz Ferdinand, just like an opening salve, or a what the fuck was it? Charleston Bay, right? Like, excuse me, they shot heard around the world, I think is what they referred to it as, right?
Yeah.
I think both of them were referred to as that, weren't they? I don't know. Whatever. It's not important. But basically these like really relatively isolated events that become fucking catastrophic across the whole system. Yeah. Lots of people die. I'm not even ready yet. And I got a fuck ton of rice. I guarantee I got more rice than you.
You have a lot more rice than I do.
I have a lot more rice.
Jar full.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah.
How much beans you got?
I don't have any damn room for any of this shit, man. I live in an apartment.
Yes, you do. I will help you.
I know I do, but I don't care.
I literally am about to finish a degree in permaculture fucking prepping. I mean, essentially, that's the degree. That's how I structured my education. Is around like advancing that knowledge and understanding.
Makes sense.
And I say about to finish as if I have any intent on fucking touching those fucking final papers at all anytime soon.
You ready to watch?
I'm so close.
Are you ready to watch the horror that is Fox News?
I am intrigued that you included this. I know they're fucking crazy. Well, also, it's so crazy, it feels like a caricature, but it's been a while since I saw a clip.
No, it's so much worse than I've seen it, like on all the you know, major shows that, you know, make fun of Fox and stuff like that. Like the shit they show there is tame compared to this. I actually cut around some of it, but they do not like anything that they view as Marxism, and they don't know what Marxism is. So it's everywhere.
Well, they do kind of represent the business class, right? The old business class, right?
So to preface this, there is a group based out of Harvard. It's a students group, and they wrote a message basically saying like, hey, Israel, everything that's happening to you is your fault. It is the result of 75 years of trying to you know, genocide a people. And you should not be surprised, and we should not be made to feel sorry for you. We will read the text of the letter and see that it is not what Fox News is making it out to be. And we will also learn the ramifications of you know, all of this blowing up so big and going viral and all that stuff. Let's start here.
But let's start with the corporations. Quite a reversal from our typically woke corporations. Your thoughts?
It is. I have a lot of thoughts on this, and they're complicated because as a conservative student, right, this is exactly what corporate America does to us. There were so many kids when I was in school who were afraid to be in college Republicans' pictures because they were afraid that a future employer would one day see it and then discriminate against them. So I'm hesitant to support doxing these students, but I will say that if
I'm a victim, like from a point of victimhood.
But they have a fucking tight narrative, and that's something that we don't have on the left. Certainly, they don't have it in the center. The libs don't. The shit libs don't. Well, we don't have it either on the left.
She is hesitant to dox them, but it's not off. It's not off of. Oh, god damn it!
Off the table.
Yeah, it's not off the table. Thank you. It's not out of bounds. That's what I was aiming for. Yeah.
Oh, not out of bounds.
These CEOs really wanted to help the students. They would be going after the universities who are the ones that are teaching them to behave in this way, to put out these Marxist-inspired statements in support of the Palestinians. This is exactly what they've been taught to do in school. And so they wanted.
What does any of this have to do with Marxism? It's literally people trying to live in the little bit of land they've got left.
Well,
what does that have to do with a system of running an economy?
But that's not the point.
Yeah,
those things don't have to be related. It's like saying the word woke. It's like woke college students.
Oh, I loved that. Like right off.
No,
the bat.
it's branding is what it is.
It really is at this point. Yeah,
it literally is just to speak to that branding.
Yeah.
And that's why Trump was so successful there, because he's good at branding.
So she hesitates to endorse doxing them, but it doesn't matter because she is not an island immune to the storm. And the names and faces of Harvard students linked to the anti-Israel statement were plastered on mobile billboards and online sites. There was a literal billboard truck. You know, those ones. Doesn't go into details. I don't know if it's just one of the stock ones or if it's one of those electronic ones like the big business issues where they're like, get your new phone at this store, and
obviously sorry, continue.
No, it's fine, go ahead.
No, I just saw this billboard truck thing and I was like, and that's the other thing too. He's like, where do you see all this fucking AstroTurf bullshit? Right? There's no way a student, I mean probably there's a lot of fucking wealthy kids that could have probably put the money together for something like that. But like mobile billboard truck is something that, like, unless you have financial resources, is not something you could just conjure.
Yeah.
Right. It's certainly not something you're doing on like an art retreat, right? Like the left, and that's where it perpetually, right? The system profits from the rules it's written, and it uses its profits to prevent any challenge to it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there are biophysical limits to that. And there are also sociopolitical limits to that, as we're seeing. And I mean, this is a fucking revolutionary moment, bro. It really is. I feel for the Palestinians. I do think, I mean, I don't think they'll ever die. It'll be like a lot of indigenous peoples, right? Like, where they're like, yeah, they said they killed us, but we're still here. You know, they're fucking survivors. Like,
I mean, people have tried to, people have tried to eliminate the Jews from the earth many times, and they're still here. So it's like,
that's true.
Yeah, people live on because people's cultures are nothing more than ideas, and it's really, really, really hard to kill ideas, especially when there's like, documentation everywhere about like how to be this. Like, there are books about how to be a Jewish person. It's great. You can just go get it and figure it all out. Some of the students have chosen to distance themselves from the statement. I only saw one. The leader came out and basically said, no, that's not something that we endorsed, and we all signed on to it before we even knew the content of the letter. And I'm like, well, first of all, that's pretty dumb of you. Like, do not sign anything without knowing what it is. Lesson number 1. But then they removed the names of the students who had withdrawn from the group because a bunch of people just left of the group. But I like this one. But we are also adding new names every hour. So that means that for all the people that are leaving, they're getting more members. Fantastic. because of course it's the Streisand effect, where you like bring attention to something. You're like, look at how bad it is, and people are like, I don't want to be in that club.
Right.
It'll be a revolutionary. It'll be great. Yeah. And Harvard Hillel, which is a Jewish student organization, they condemned it and said, like, why are you doxing people? Don't do that. And we do not want any violence against anyone. And so at least they're making a public statement, just being like, don't do that, please. This is how it starts for all of us. This is how we get in trouble. And this is a Harvard legal scholar who says we shouldn't try to repeat the McCarthy era's excesses in the interest of moral clarity. It's like, yeah, maybe we should like learn from our past and like learn that Red Scares or Palestine scares or terror scares are never a good thing. I mean, look what happened after 9/11. We got all concerned about terrorists and we started attacking a bunch of people that weren't even from the right country. Like, don't do that. Don't go after like people in the places of worship and shit like that. It's pretty fucked up, So yeah, I saw that one and was just like, yeah, we need to talk about that because this is some crazy shit. But like, I cannot. I don't know. I can't fathom why you want to ruin people's lives like that. They're just trying to voice an opinion. It makes me think that like their opinion is so damn weak that they're like, oh, well, I have to attack any dissenting opinion. And it's true, because a lot of times they can't articulate why they are the way they are, why they believe what they believe. It'll all boil down to like, well, that's what I was taught. It's like, well, there you go. Mm-hmm. Think outside your bubble. But Fox News goes on, and it gets pretty bad.
To falsely equate the Palestinians with BLM or with indigenous rights, this is all coming from the schools. They get Marxist-inspired classes. We have Marxist-inspired departments where they learn that everyone on earth can be split into two groups, oppressed and oppressor. And because they view the Palestinians as the oppressed, right, they excuse all kinds of violence in the name of righting that inequity. This is textbook Marxist behavior. This is coming from the universities. It's not coming from normal American families. And I think that if the CEOs really wanted to do something about it, they would use the power of the purse to make real change within the university systems.
Cut off the money. Don't educate the people. Keep them in the dark. And like, that really seems to be what it's all about. She was like, I don't think this is normal Americans. It's like, well, if you're separating normal Americans and Americans who went to college, yes, it's more likely that normal Americans are not going to be exposed to the ideas that would teach them that this is horrible. They'll just go with whatever the current narrative is on the TV set or on YouTube or whatever. Like, it takes work to get past all that and get to like something that's a little bit deeper, where you might be like, maybe I shouldn't be so, convinced that killing other people is good.
Yeah, man. 100%.
Maybe not.
Yeah, it's just kind of fucking absurd. I mean, that's just, I don't even fucking pay mind to that because like it has no basis in reality. And there are people that believe it, but those are people that like don't concern me so much in the sense that they're fucking not, they don't actually have like strongly held beliefs. They just want to fucking be mad about something.
Yeah, very possible.
They're not the ones that are like physically training to be like fascist militias and shit. And there's a lot of those. There are a lot of those.
Yes, there are. So unless you had more, I was going to go to the actual statement of what was actually said, and we can kind of judge for ourselves if it was worth all that.
Yeah.
Let's see here. A joint statement by Harvard Palestine Solidarity Groups on the situation in Palestine, October 10th. Let's see. This statement is republished with permission. This is not the original publication. There are some errors, spelling errors and stuff. I don't know if they were in the original document or if they are particular to this copy. So ignore them, and I'm going to do my best to correct in real time. I fucked up earlier when I was reading it. I'll get it. We, the undersigned student organizations, hold the Israeli regime entirely responsible for all the unfolding violence. Today's events did not occur in a vacuum. For the last 2 decades, millions of Palestinians in Gaza have been forced to live in an open-air prison. Israeli officials promised to open the gates of hell, and the massacres in Gaza have already commenced. Palestinians in Gaza have no shelters for refuge and nowhere to escape. In the coming days, Palestinians will be forced to bear the full brunt of Israel's violence. The apartheid regime is the only one to blame. Israeli violence has structured every aspect of Palestinian existence for 75 years, from the systematized land seizures to routine airstrikes, arbitrary detentions to military checkpoints, and enforced family separations to targeted killings. Palestinians have been forced to live in a state of death, both slow and sudden. Today, the Palestinian ordeal enters into uncharted territory. The coming days will require a firm stand against colonial retaliation. We call on the harbor community to take action and stop the ongoing annihilation of Palestinians. And so really they're just saying like, hey, can we maybe not support this at least? You know, we don't have to actively or oppose it, but we can certainly say we're not for it. And apparently that is enough to and it's not just Fox News. This has been in some other places I've seen as well. And there are some very angry people, and it seems like a pretty measured statement to
I think
me.
part of that is so like a lot of this like universities are all is to further stoke the sense of inadequacy of folks who did not go to university and further drive it. And that's why when fucking Hillary Clinton says deplorable, and they're always like, oh, we really love the college, we want college educated, like, or that's our demographic is like professionals, right? Like college professionals or whatever. Like that's what Fox News is doing is to fucking further stoke that divide. It's just to manipulate people, right? They sell ads, right? That's their business is to fucking sell ads. And they can do that when people are tuning in to be fucking angry because they feel alienated, and the things they tune into tell them to become alienated. But my mom's like, oh yeah, we don't watch mainstream news. We only watch independent news. And I'm like, you need to seriously understand like how to vet your sources. Because just because it's not mainstream does not mean it's correct. Like homie doing his fucking live stream is correct. It's like us. We like to fucking show you facts like on screen so you can be like, oh, okay, I understand their reasoning. I think I believe that too. And you might watch something else and be like, oh, okay, yeah, that more or less conforms to the opinion I've created, based on other information, right? Like, or you could say like, wait a second, why do these conflict? And then look for yourself for why they conflict and who
That's
is
why
correct.
I did this.
That's how it works.
That's why I put this on the screen. Is I was like, I wonder what they actually said. Lo and behold, when you go to a primary source, you find out.
I wanted you to scroll. Can you put that back up on the screen and then scroll down? Because it was a joint statement. I just wanted to show the diversity of the
yeah.
So there's a bunch of like
African American
resistance organization. That sounds kind of like a more kind of like politically focused. But then you have like Bengali Association. You're like, okay, other brown people that go to the school, and it's like, oh, fucking dental and health or medical and dental student. Medical and dental student.
Muslim Association. Let's see. Oh wow, this one's
there's a Palestine
really specific.
One. Yeah. And I figured there were for a few. There's a Students for Palestine down there too.
Yeah, and then you got there's a lot of Muslim. Well, just to be expected. Palestinians are Muslims, so of course they would have support. But yeah. North African Law Association totally works for me. Like they're up there in Egypt, so sure. Islamic Society Law School for Justice for Palestine. Man, Harvard is huge to have this many groups. Harvard Jews for Liberation. I'm interested now. Let's see. Bangladesh Caucus, a Muslim. Like this is not a
Prison Divest Coalition.
Yeah, it's all over the place. This
is not you get down there, and group. They have different clubs for undergraduates.
Oh, yeah. Wow. But yeah, this is not an isolated group. This was brought up. One presumes to all of these groups, and they all agreed that they supported it. So like
that's a lot of groups.
This one I find interesting because everything I've read says like Sikhs are just some of the nicest people. Like,
yeah,
it's part of their culture to be like, oh, you don't have any food, and you're like, thanks.
Yeah, so there's a lot of groups, different groups from Central and East Asia, and Africa, North Africa, Middle East, Arab, whatever. A lot of groups standing in solidarity. So
yeah,
I thought the diversity of those is interesting because that represents like a lot of students, and not just a lot of students, but like, I mean, these are fucking gonna be Harvard doctors.
Yeah,
like, these are society's like
elite
ruling class.
Yeah,
essentially.
These are the East Coast elite that we were warned about.
Right. But I bet you could probably find most of those, and most of them would not be Marxists.
I doubt it.
You definitely have
see
some
a Marxist club. Yeah,
there's some people who are anarchists in some of those groups, guaranteed.
Yeah, I definitely don't see a Marxist club though. These guys.
Yeah, you don't see a Marxist club, right?
They're the Marxists right there.
So Students Association, there's like a handful of Palestine specific clubs.
Oh yeah.
But then you have like South Asian law students.
This one, Harvard South Asians for Forward-Thinking Advocacy and Research. Does that spell something? SAFAR. No, damn it. Oh well. It's an opportunity. Normally when a name is that long, it stands for something funny. Maybe shorten it down. But oh well.
No, it seems like an organization of South Asian students.
Yeah.
Who have probably come together across disciplines.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So like you're having people coming from various fields of study to think about issues more holistically in their homelands.
Yeah. It's fairly good.
I think it's fucking awesome.
They're a think tank.
Essentially.
For good. I mean, I guess not all think tanks are bad, but
no,
most of the ones that we know about are. Because they're the ones that have the best press.
Most of think tanks are bad because most think tanks are funded by companies and rich money.
Yeah.
We don't have money. That's why the left doesn't have fucking billboard trucks. That's why the left doesn't have fucking functional political party.
Well, also I think
because we can't fucking fund it because we have no money, because we've committed to something bigger than fucking having money, and we work to fight against the system that's built by needing to have fucking state currency to function.
Right. And I think there's a lot less pettiness as well. Like on the right, they're like, oh, look, we dox these guys. We're so cool. And on the left, they would be like, no, why would we do that? Like that wouldn't accomplish much of anything other than hurting some people, potentially. Like, I think the mindset is just very different, where it's not about like, how can I dunk on this group? It's about how can I help this other group? But maybe I'm just pie in the sky still. I don't know.
All right.
Yeah. That's all I had for Palestine. But I mean, unless you wanted to talk about something we didn't cover.
No, I mean, I just think that it's fucked up. I mean, it's white phosphorus, call it a war crime. It is, like potentially a war crime, most definitely if used on civilians, but like destroying all the hospitals, closing the exits, destroying food distribution, and turning off all the water, all the electricity, right? Like shutting down their ability to like meet their basic, they've stripped them of their ability to meet their basic needs.
Yeah. And ensure that they have nowhere to run to find those basic needs. And so it's basically either death by bomb or death by, I mean, honestly, not starvation. Water.
Disease?
No, water will probably get you first. Yeah, lack of water will kill you a lot faster than food. So yeah, it's basically
I mean, if they fucking successfully fucking prevent, and you have like mass fucking death, like in the hundreds of thousands because they fucking die of thirst.
Yeah.
Do you think that like the world will settle back into some kind of like politically peaceable arrangements?
I'd like to think no.
Anytime soon?
I'd like to think no, but at the same time,
I would fucking hope not.
We have a short memory and would probably find a way to forget about it. Like we need footage of like people trying to drink from the ocean and shit like that. or like, trying to drink from the river effluent as it goes into the ocean, but it's polluted, so like they're dying from that anyway.
Yeah, people don't give a shit about that.
Yeah, I don't think they do. I think things could get like, that's the thing, is you would think that we live in an era with the internet and everything's forever and all that stuff, but I bet you could still genocide some people and hide it, even if it was like,
Oh, they can definitely get wrong numbers, but I don't think you
Yeah.
can hide it. I think most of the world is 100% aware of what is happening.
Yeah, but
our Congress is not going to stand in the way of that, because
no,
none of them.
and as we've seen from some of the resolutions in the UK and in France, they're not going to either. In fact, they're going to make it hard for you to even bring attention to the fact that it's happening. Like, that was the thing in France, is they're like, oh yeah, we want to make it so that it's illegal to do a pro-Palestine protest, thereby making it so no one's even going to know that like there are people on their side, and maybe there's two sides to every story, and some of the people being killed aren't Hamas. They're just innocent civilians, and the cries of Israel saying like they killed our civilians. And it's like, yeah, but I mean, what do the numbers look like? Like if you break it down over the 75 years, what do the numbers really look like on each side?
I mean, I think on Monday I just mentioned the great rate to return, and I was like, what, like the worst of violence in 3 days, and we got like did not even equal like the damage done to Palestinians during like a fucking prolonged nonviolent struggle. Like tens of thousands of individuals had their lives fucking upended, either crippled or killed, because they were walking, and like a few threw rocks and bottles.
Yeah.
Right. And so like if they killed 500 or 1,000 fucking people in a day, which I don't think, like again, footage we showed here of like propaganda station channel 4 in UK, like we're outside a police station, and they're like, a lot of fighting took place near the police station. They were attacking the police station. And then people are like, they attack civilians. It's like, wait, like they attacked a police station. You're thinking those are civilians, but those are actually part of the infrastructure of occupation. They're attacking the instruments of the occupation. And sure, yes, I do believe they fucking rolled up on some fucking apartment blocks and shit, but I fucking can't empathize much at all with fucking Israel at all. I find it very difficult to empathize.
Yeah.
Just because how fucking disproportionate it is. How disproportionate it is now. They closed all of the borders. They destroyed all of the food distribution networks and food stores, unless people have individual food stores. Plus, they fucking shut off the food or the water and the gas and the electricity, all the energy. They're in an absolute blackout. Could potentially be dying of thirst. Certainly dying of fucking disease, exhaustion, whatever. And that's all they have to do is just fucking tighten the borders down super tight and fucking bomb apartment blocks for a couple weeks, and you've essentially murdered everybody.
Yeah, just squeeze them out.
And then it's going to be like, hey, you're doing this, you need to stop now. And then fucking some country decides to like try and do something to relieve it, like run a blockade, like run supplies or something. The US has got fucking an aircraft carrier group like right off the coast of fucking Israel. They moved it there the very first fucking day.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine if like, fucking whatever, China or Russia or whoever tries to fucking run a blockade of relief supplies. And then their fucking boats with their fucking flags on it get fucking sunk by the U.S. Navy.
Yeah. That won't be.
Is this bad news bears, bro? It's so fucking bad.
All of it's bad news bears. I think the sooner we realize as a species that just sharing is easier than taking by force, the better off we'll be.
That's right.
Hey man, even in Star Trek, I think it took to like the 2100s for us to get our shit together. So we've got time.
We've got time, maybe. I don't know. Play that funky music, white boy.
Oh yeah.
All right, folks. We talked about Palestine. We're probably going to talk about it a lot because we only meet twice a week. And I didn't even talk about any of the shit that I wanted to talk to you about. My soul is fucking broken.
Oh, Steve.
Working at school. Working at the school. Not working. I don't work there. I'm a fucking parent volunteer. And I had 2 different staff people be like, we really appreciate you being here. I think the kids are doing better now that you're here. And I'm like, wait a second. No,
tell me I can't leave?
No. Like, I was like, I'm already fucking burned out. I was burned out last week. And I showed up this week. In fact, I was there more this week. With Monday being a fucking holiday. They still put in more time this week than last week. Oh, fuck.
Steve,
I was there
quick
for
path to
5
burnout.
hours today.
Why? What the fuck?
Let's talk offline about it, bro.
Right on. It's too long.
Groovy, baby. Hey, man, if keep it in your heart, man. Have your supplies, man. At any moment, they can shut you down, bro. They'll bomb your grocery store.
Yeah.
You don't know. This fucking world is crazy. Most of us are probably okay until the bombs drop, but like not necessarily. Like if they're like, oh no, we're rationing energy because we need to support the war effort.
It's true.
We're already pretty energy constrained. People paying $6 a gallon. Could you imagine all those motherfuckers that have this big ass lifted like fucking trucks? The ones with the big fucking, they put the tailpipe driving that much. I mean, I drive a gas guzzler too, and I don't drive that much, but like, they have better fuel economy than them, presumably.
Yeah, you would hope so. But do you get more than 16 miles per gallon?
Yes.
Then you're probably getting better than that.
But just barely.
Most of those big trucks are like 12 to 16. It's pathetic and disgusting, and it should be illegal. But I'm not in charge, so.
Well, yeah, you should definitely have like it should not be like, oh, you're a passenger vehicle.
Yeah.
Like you're like, no, you pay a special fee for being fucking gluttonous.
Wow, we are way off topic, but this has definitely been my thoughts for a long time. I'm just like, those should be reserved for businesses that need them. So like, hey, if you are in the business of termite extermination and you need to carry around a bunch of chemicals, right on, get yourself a truck.
Yep, but even then, most fucking termite trucks are little fucking
little
pickups.
small ones. Yeah, most.
All of those can be electrified. You can electrify the big heavy duty shit.
You know what's really funny about the big heavy duty ones is a lot of times they're not even good for working because they end up with like a tiny fucking truck bed, and it's like you can't carry anything in them. It's just like, oh, okay, well, that's a totally worthless vehicle. Like unless you're towing stuff, which they never are, because they wouldn't help somebody else.
No, and if you have a work vehicle, like you're probably trying to avoid having a fucking trailer to deal with.
Yeah, if you can.
At any rate, this has been with Thunder's Applause, a podcast where we have zero question what's happening in the Holy Lands, if you want to call them that.
I don't.
I mean, I think they're culturally important, clearly, to a lot of people. Kind of like the cradle of ancient civilization, if you want to call it that. And so maybe it's time, I almost feel about getting a little Raylo about it and being like, it's okay, let's pass time.
It's true.
Would not be the first time I'm like,
kill it if you have to.
If I could Thanos this bitch, I'd probably just fucking level it all, like level all the fucking. Now nobody gets it.
Yeah. Edgy high school me said, hey, why don't we just nuke the whole area so that it's glass? And then nobody will fight over it because it's glass. But they probably would. They'd fight over the glass.
They might.
Yeah.
I think that would be a real big step into moving past this bullshit. Because right now it feels like this is going to fucking end in the effective, the fucking effective destruction of the culture. Not the culture or the people, but effectively.
A lot of dead people.
I think Israel's going to succeed in taking all of that land. And the West Bank, under the PLO, has been like pretty fucking, or whatever his successor political party was, that's kind of worked with Israel on a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just saw a map the other day. I was like, when did that happen? Apparently, it was part of an agreement. The West Bank got carved up.
Yeah.
So the West Bank, like, it looks like, you know what it looks like to me? And I noticed this when I saw that map. habitat fragmentation. They're like in conservation biology, when you talk about animal range and territory, and you look at like one of the leading problems is not that there's not enough land, it's that the land isn't contiguous, so they can't be used by a larger group of animals, right?
Yeah.
It makes it difficult for them to use this range because it's carved up, even though like by area there's enough, and that's what it looks like. Right, they've just basically like fragmented in them so much to try and exterminate them. This is their strategic military objective, and has been since the inception of the fucking country, since before they were a country, since they were just a bunch of people that met up and talked about what they wanted to do, and they trained and they launched military exercises and they used violence to get what they want. So if anything, they're demonstrating to the oppressed around the world. They're providing the example. Palestinians are providing the example of resistance, and the Israeli state is providing the example that there is no political solution to this. The only cure to moving beyond fossil fuels, to be moving beyond corrupt political institutions and hierarchies. Like, the only solution is violence.
You heard it here.
Sometimes that makes a grown man cry because it's a fucking tough reality to swallow.
Yeah. And you got to teach your kids. Like, hey,
much love, man. When liberty dies, it dies with thunderous applause and tears sometimes.
Thunderous tears. It's true.
Peace.
Go cry some thunderous tears right now.
See you,
Baby Yoda.